If it's a day called today, we're talking guitars and life.
Okay, friends, welcome back to another episode of TED Talks Guitars and Life. It is time to talk about electronics. I got some parts in today. Part that we're not going to do today, I did get my Safu locking tuners. I've been working quite a bit with those recently. I did get some Amavalier Fender style string guides that I'll be throwing on that guitar neck at some point. I'll bring you along that journey. You are looking at two pick guards. You are looking at the original pick guard that came on the black and blue Squier that I purchased for $75, Jack. Yeah, man. So I wasn't thrilled with the way those pickups sounded. And the pick guard itself, the electronics just needed some help. This was bent over. A couple things about this, just by way if you're playing the home game or by way of review. This pickup cover says Seymour Duncan. However, I do not believe that is a Seymour Duncan pickup. Why do I say that? Because it looks just like the other two pickups, Jack. Are they all Seymour Duncan? I do not believe so. On the back of this, you've got a standard box switch. You've got 3 dime-sized pots, a little chiclet situation there. So, for $75, I thought, well, man, I'm going to upgrade this bad boy. So what I did is I decided that I would change out all of the electronics. One good thing about this pick guard is those pickups do not move because they have used some really beefy screws. So that's cool. But yeah, other than just being really dirty, this pick guard does fit on that guitar. And I asked my wife, I said, now baby, this one or that one, the black with the cream or the blue with the white? And my wife, who I love with my whole heart, said blue with the white, Jack. So what are we gonna do? Well, my friends, we are gonna take, this is another Lamb Sam, nice sounding pickups, and they do sound pretty nice. This is the same kind of rig that I put in the Washburn guitar. If you're hanging out on that journey with me, then you have heard those pickups. I think they sound pretty good. I definitely think they sounded better than these. That's just my opinion, and it's my guitar, so my opinion is all that matters. The reason that I like the Lamb Sam loaded pick guards are for the components that you get. So if you were to compare these two pick guards, the stock original pick guard to the one that we are upgrading to, you will see that we have some good Alnico 5 pickups. We have a blade switch. Some people call it a wafer. We've got full-size pots, and we've got an orange capacitor. So what I'm going to be doing in the video, I am going to take the electronic parts off of this pick guard, and I'm going to put them in this pick guard. And then once I have those parts on this pick guard, I am actually going to use the old white cover, even though I hate to have one that says Seymour Duncan. In fact, I may just buy a couple of white covers so that I don't have that Seymour Duncan nonsense on there. I will retain the white switch tip. I will retain these old dirty white knobs because my wife, who I love with my whole heart, said that blue and white look better than blue and cream. What do you guys think, man? If I threw the cream on that blue, I was kind of feeling that, but my wife was not feeling it, and I dig her, so I'm gonna go with the blue and white and rock and roll my situation. So in the videos that follow, I am going to be working all of that out, and I'm going to film all of that. Now guys, for some of you, you're thinking this is super remedial You can do this blindfolded with your hands tied behind your backs. You may be bored with what is about to follow. However, my friends, I have several kinds of people who watch my videos. Some of them have never done any of this before and continue to ask me, could you slow your roll and film some of the basic stuff? So I'm going to film me taking these pick guards apart, me swapping out the electronics and all of that jazz. And at some point, maybe this video, maybe not, we will actually also put one of these pure tone output jacks in this boat. I assume I'm going to have to bore that out just a little bit, and if I do, I will film it for your viewing pleasure and edification, my friends. I will more than likely retain the old trim cover with the Dean Markley sticker and all. It was funny when I saw that. It took me back, man, to about 20 years ago. I used to do this exact thing. I'm not saying this was one of my guitars. I'm just saying. Did you guys ever do this, man? I think it was fairly common at one point. I'm going to retain all that. I'm not taking that sticker off. I did put some CA glue and attempt to repair this because it was broken. This I will just put in my box O parts for a later date down the road. I will be replacing the pick guard screws with screws that are not rusty. You may or may not remember that almost every screw I took off the blue and black Squier was rusty. So that's what we're going to do in the video to come, man. Stick around, man. Come hang out with me on the journey, man. It ought to be a good ride. Well, welcome back, everybody. So in this section of the video, what we're going to do, I have decided that what I would like to do is take all the components from the black and cream pickguard and put those over onto this blue pickguard, and then I may end up blacking this out, where instead of it being white, it would be black. So we'll see how all that goes. So I thought it might be helpful for those of you who maybe have never done this kind of thing before, and some of you have been asking some great questions about how I process things. I'm going to take a Dunlap uni-wrench here, and I'm just going to go around this volume knob a little bit to see if I can get under it, like thusly. And when you do this, you want to be careful. Whatever tool you use, you could use a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, something like this. You could get under there. You could use a very thin ruler if you happen to have one of those, something like this. You just, just be aware that you don't want to dig into your pick guard. Not to be prescriptive, but in theory, some of these, man, you just ought to be able to grab them and pull them off. So if you can't get it off like that one, then you want to go in under it. And then what I do is I kind of pry up a little bit, working the tool while I turn the knob. And that way I'm getting somewhat of a consistent pressure on all parts of that, and then I should be able to get my fingers under there, and voila. Okay. You'll also notice that I have this setting on a cork block. This is actually a block foam sanding pad wrapped around with a rag wrapped around it. I'm just trying to keep the components and the wires off the table, so to speak. Anyway. So yeah, so let me take this other one off here. Now I'm a little less worried about scratching this pick guard than maybe I would be. But if you do this with a new pick guard, it's going to have some kind of plastic coating. Most pick guards come with not just one plastic coating, but two. The other dicey thing is that this switch tip should pull off thusly. So none of this, guys, is difficult at all. A little time consuming, yes. Difficult, no. Now, for my next trick, I need to go over and grab my tool. I need a 10 mil socket. This guy didn't have all his tools together. Well, it's Ted Talks Guitars and Life. You didn't expect me to have it all together, did you? So this is a 10 mil elongated socket, and the reason that it's elongated is so that I can get it over that pole. This is also what I use for tuners, the shaft of tuners, I should say. I've mentioned a couple of times that everything on this guitar, man, is just kind of rusty, electronics-wise. You can probably see some of that rust from where you are. I don't even need to do a close-up. So the pots are attached to the pick guard by the shaft. Then there's a washer, and then there's a nut. And once you have the nuts loosened, then these pots are going to fall right out of the pick guard. Something like that. Okay? So if I turn it over and let you see this, so you've got your loosey-goosey pots. The next thing I'm going to do is the switch. There is a reason I'm doing it in this order. I want to do the pickups last. That's just the way I chose to do things today. You do you, man. So the switch is held by 2 screws that go right through the pick guard into the actual box switch itself. And I think you can probably get a sense of how dirty and grimy all this is. I don't really understand. And so there. Now, one of the things that I did, I took a picture of both of these pick guards in their current configuration. Guys, I might take all this off, go get a cup of coffee, come back and forget where everything was. So anyway, word of the wise, that may or may not be helpful. The pickups are basically, you'll see that there is a screw holding this on, and in between the pick guard and the screw is a spring. These are using pretty stout springs so the pickups don't move back and forth. Sometimes if you have a guitar and you can kind of move your pickup, it just means that maybe you want to look at, if you care about that, then you want to look at your springs and your screws and see if there's a way you can tighten that up. So I'm going to try to be somewhat careful here, as I always am. And I'm going to start at the top, and I'm just going to loosen I'm just going to loosen springs. There you go. Hey, man, what are you guys doing today, man? Man, I pray your day is filled with people who love you and affirm you, Jack. And you're doing what you dig and digging what you do, man. I'm glad for work to be done today, and I can talk guitars and life. Now, one thing to be aware of is that we are dealing with springs, okay? So you want to have kind of a work area where if a spring should shoot out somewhere, it's somewhat in a confined area. All right? Okay. Again, you've got some really dirty, grimy screws. The other reason that I'm totally taking everything off of this is that I am going to completely clean this pick guard, man. It is funky. So you'll see that the springs are kind of wedged in there. So if I slowly remove this pickup, which is barely fitting in this pick guard apparently. So I'm pushing it somewhat gingerly through the hole. And then the pickup is magnetic. Can't talk today. And so you'll see the springs are pretty much stuck in place where they were. They're not super springy. But I did like the way that that pickup did not move. Now, this has a white cover on it. So you may or may not be aware that your pickups will either be just black like this. You'll see that this has kind of like looks like electrical tape around it. It's not technically electrical tape, but something like that, and a cover. So what I'm thinking about doing is cleaning up these white covers and putting these white covers over these pickups in this pick guard so that it looks the same, but it will be different. Now, one of the fun things about this guitar is that this last pickup says Seymour Duncan on it. I don't believe that's a Seymour Duncan pickup, guys. I think that's just a white cover that says Seymour Duncan, but we will find out. You and I together on this little journey, man. I hope you guys dig hanging out on the channel, man, and that, man, you feel like you're, you know, man, obviously there's some value in it, right? Who's that cat, man? Dr. Phil, you know? You probably something in it for you if you're doing it, you know? So I'm just glad to be a part of your journey. So again, when you take the pickup out, those springs sometimes will just naturally attach the pickup. That will keep them from flying around. These are a little more springy than the other ones were, but interesting. And I did mention in a previous vid that this pickup was kind of upside down in this pick guard, at least is how I see the world. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my pickup cover. You can buy any color pickup covers you want, probably. You want red ones or green ones or whatever. You should probably be able to find those. This one is on there pretty well. So I'm going to gingerly, and I'm saying gingerly, try to pry that from the pickup. Now, guys, you want to be very, very careful, because if you snap these wires in here, or maybe your pickup doesn't have that cover, that electrical tape kind of thing that I was talking about. Sometimes, man, that's just raw wires. Sometimes it's really nicely done and there's like cloth around it. Okay, so there's my second cover that I may or may not be using. I've wanted to put the cream ones in here, man, but I talked to my bride about it and she was like, "No, man, that don't look right." And then I asked Sean about it, man, my dear brother Plenty Old Bass, and he said, "No, man, that's yucky." He didn't say yucky. He sent me the vomit emoji, which I interpreted as yucky. Yeah, man. Have good people in your life. Keep you honest, I guess, Jack, is the moral of that story. Yeah, for sure. All right, so this is interesting. This is falling out without the screw being detached. Oh, man, that is so rusty, man. Why is everything on this guitar so rusty? Is it just old? Did it get wet at some point? Did somebody drop a beverage on it? Man, what is going down? All right, so I've got 6 springs. That's good. And I've got 6 screws. That's good. So this is going to get a thorough cleaning. You can just see all the debris and kind of rust and all that. So I don't have gloves on because it's difficult for me to have gloves on and work with all the screws and all that. So I will wash my hands thoroughly, as I would encourage you to do that. Okay, so this is the pickup, right? Now, guys, from the Sesame Street files, one of these things is not like the other. These all look the same to me. I do not know why this says Seymour Duncan on it. There is no way, in my humble opinion, that, my friends, is a Seymour Duncan pickup. There is no writing on it. It looks exactly the same. Now, maybe this is not an attempt at deception, okay? Maybe the person just didn't have another cover and they needed a white cover and they had this laying around, so they threw this Seymour Duncan. My preference would be, if I can, I'm going to remove Seymour Duncan from this white cover so that it's just a straight up white cover, because I don't want that on there. And if I can't get that off, I will order either some new white covers, or I'll tell my wife, "Baby, I had to go with the cream. I couldn't get that off." Wouldn't that be convenient? All right. So there's our parts, I'm assuming stock parts out of the Squier Black Blue Stratocaster that we bought for 75 American dollars. So I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to clean up this pick guard, and then we will come back and we will get this other stuff kind of out of the way. We'll remove these parts and we'll attempt to put these parts in this guitar. That's what we're going to do, man. Stick around, guys. It ought to be fun. All right, my friends, with a little effort, we've got our cream covers, and we've got our electronics from the Lamb Sam loaded pick guard. And yeah, I fast forwarded through all that because I didn't know that you'd have patience for that. I did have to Dremel the sides on the bottom pickup hole for some reason. I do not know why, my friends, but yeah. So I did do that, and I tried, I don't know if you could tell that while I was fast forwarding through everything, I did try to use the white and the black as well. However, I did not have the proper hole alignment to use these covers. Neither the white nor the black fit the hole alignment. These are straight up Fender genuine parts, as it were, and one of the things we've talked about a lot is that sometimes your parts are not going to fit. So I had to go with the cream. So I guess I won the debate there. Oh, by the way, this might be funny for you. Some of you may remember that I put out a little poll with 3 pictures of this pick guard with all the kind of mocked up colors. That poll was made the day that I did this. So that'll give you some sense of how far ahead I am in terms of when the videos are released. Okay, my friends, we've got our new electronics on the pick guard. I have a pure tone output jack, which I will be installing. Once we get the actual body complete, I've got some supplies coming today to help me finish up the body. And then once the body is complete, we will put this bad boy on. We'll put that guitar neck on this guitar body with these electronics jack, and we'll move down the road, man. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me today, man. You guys are the best.
Well, as always, wherever you are in your guitar journey, I pray it's a long, smooth, safe, joy-filled ride for you, Jack. Rock on with your bad selves, everybody. We'll catch you down the road.